Okay. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to tell you something about Jekyll and documenting in Jekyll. I've been trying Jekyll out for the last couple of weeks on the TLS project. And I got quite enthusiastic, so I'm going to share my experiences up until now. First of all, why? Why something else than Word? I've been playing around with this idea for a long, long time. Everyone knows about that. We had several discussions, and also with the audience, how to document and using a wiki. And yeah, I was basically fed up with Word, especially after the Equence project, where we worded ourselves into quite a corner. So yeah, with Word you get this heap of documents for different subjects, all kinds of different documents, versioning, formatting issues. I open one on the Mac and somebody else opens one on Windows machine and stuff breaks. Well, there's a kind of a linear structure that at the beginning of a project seems to make sense, but eventually it breaks down into, yeah, let's put it in here. Word documentation doesn't really fit the pace of the sprints. It's kind of, yeah, especially in Equence we had this problem that we created kind of delta spec documents that we had to merge back into the Word documents, basically working as we do with Git, but then in Word, and it's absolutely not fit to do that. So it also doesn't fit the Git workflow. I think Word gives people an excuse not to document because it's kind of, yeah, I can't do Word and it always breaks, blah, blah, blah. The positive things about Word are the fact that you can do lots of track changes and commenting and get review comments back and approve them and commit them to your document. There's easy PDF output, and yeah, everyone has it on his computer, so you can use it easily and you can share it easily. So yeah, for a new documentation project you have to solve the above and try to keep the last positive points. When I was looking at other ways of documenting, I had these three goals. So my experiences with Cucumber basically, but one of the conclusions we did with Cucumbers a few years ago was that we included the testing into the team, and that was a kind of a new way of working where the team was responsible for the testing, and it gave the automated testing a bit of a push in acceptance. And I'm looking at, I'm searching for the same kind of integration in the team for documentation. So there's kind of a team effort to create the right documentation, maintain it, instead of that one person is doing it. Because in the team you discover errors in the documentation, and it should be easy to fix those errors immediately instead of having one person tell them to the requirements analyst and he has to fix that, and just work on the documentation as a team. So easier to access as a team, and also looking for generating the documentation as much as possible. So less writing, more generation of documentation. That's good for all of us. Then I had some requirements, and these are more or less based on the discussions I had with several people about it. One of the solutions to a requirement is plain text formatting, because it helps you working on several versions of document. Yeah?
The stream doesn't have the PowerPoint presentation. But the camera of us eating.
Oh. Thank you. And now it should have.
You'll check.
Wait a few seconds. Yeah? No.
Yeah.
Yes? Yeah. Okay. Just put the PowerPoint on screen, so that helps. Plain text. Plain text is basically you can run diffs on plain text. You can merge plain text. It's easy. It's the only problem with that is that it doesn't have a lot of markup, but such as things as Markdown help with that. You want to use the Git repository, so we can follow the Git workflow with the documentation, so you can have several different versions of your documentation supporting your development work, your production version, and also your future releases. Styling options is of course important. You want to have documentation that is good to show to your customers because they need to be able to read it, and it needs to be usable. We need tables, images, cross-references, tooltips, whatever, a lot of stuff. Concerning the generation of documentation, you might want to have your Cucumber files integrated, so you have like your Cucumber features well written are part of your documentation. You can do the same with your test reports, and you already have a lot of documentation ready without writing any text. Well, you need search, one of the good features of Word also. Generating file diffs, have some commenting or collaboration things. Since we're putting it in the team, we also need some support in IntelliJ. IntelliJ supports a plugin for Markdown, and that's really nice. I'll get back to it later. You want PDF generation to deliver to your customers, besides having maybe an online version. Maybe include files from other projects, because now we're working on a project where we have 3 different repositories, so you might want to include the development manuals from those repositories in your documentation repository. And we need to be able to build it on CI, automated builds of your documentation also. Any questions, additions, problems? No? I considered Google Docs. That has been considered lots of times in this company. Yeah, there's a lot of collaboration and versioning, but it's not really flexible in structuring. It's just the same as Word. Wikis are kind of easy to set up, and you can link to different parts. You can say this is the technical description, link to the functional description of something, have screens as an entry point, have features or user stories as an entry point, so you can do all kinds of cross references. That's easy, but it's eventually it doesn't really. We need versioning, we need all kinds of other support, so it didn't really fit the bill. And then I discovered static website generators, and they are very hip right now, so that's the way to go, basically. But there's also some other advantages, like they use Markdown to convert to HTML. They're upcoming, and there's a lot of support. You can use the Markdown in your Git repository, lots of plugins, lots of options. So I went looking for a static site generator. This is basically what they do. You have a basic text format as input, HTML as output. There's a templating engine. Lots of times Bootstrap is supported in one way or the other. And plugins, you can write plugins for them. And as I said, it's the hype of 2016. What I considered is Hugo, that's based on Go, Jekyll and MKTox. And I went with Jekyll because we had a vote in the team on Slack. I really don't know what the result was of the vote, but
it was just one vote for Hugo.
One vote for Hugo, yeah. I don't know who did that. My main reason to start with Jekyll is it's the software behind the GitHub pages. And this means really good support. It's really actively developed. And there's also lots of plugins and community stuff added to it, so that's good. And it supports Liquid templates, which is built by Shopify, and it's also broadly used in a big brand, so good support. So just, my best guess was Jekyll right now. And I'm not saying that this is the final solution, but I, up until now, I really like it. This is from the Jekyll homepage. Yeah, blog aware, I don't use that part, but you can also use it as a blog, and it generates like RSS feeds, XML stuff about it. The blogs are sorted on times, you can do tags and everything. I'll show you later on. About Jekyll, well, this is basically what I said already. Yeah, written in Ruby, Markdown, liquid templates, lots of front-end technology available, and lots of activity. Yeah. So, I'm going to give a demo. Any questions up until now?
Is it expensive?
Can you turn up here? No, it's €0.
Oh.
It's free to use. Okay. Let's see. Where am I lost? Yes. I'm going to show you some parts of the Jekyll website. Basically, Jekyll, you can install it like this. It's a lot of Ruby stuff and bundler, and I don't know much about it, but I eventually got it working. I do sometimes get like dependencies issues with the gems and kind of things, but it's quite easy. Yeah? And when you install something, then you can create an empty structure, site structure, and you can run that. I'm going to show you because I did that, but my mouse. Sorry. Jekyll includes two main functionalities, the builder and the server. And the builder you can generate from your website structure. You generate the HTML website, the static website. And the server does the same, but also serves it, so you don't need a web server. It's really good for local development. Because when you're developing locally, then you don't have to do something with Apache or Nginx or whatever. They also have a formal Docker, and it's running here. No, it's not running. And this looks at your local installation. I'll show you later on. This looks at your local Jekyll website and then generates it in the Docker and runs in the Docker, so you don't need any of the gems installed on your local host. Yeah, very handy. This is the standard version. I will work with that in the future to upgrade it to something that fits my installation, because I have added a lot of plugins and things that are not in the Docker yet. So you have built and you have served, and then you have a directory structure, and this is basically the main thing about Jekyll, because in this config YAML, there's a lot of YAML in there. You kind of configure the server and how to serve the pages and on what port and that kind of things, which plugins you need and that stuff. You can have layouts which describe how your pages are laid out, and you use in your pages, you use YAML to choose the layout. You put your pages in posts. Well, there's all kinds of data and includes that you can do. Basically, and everything what's in there that's called Markdown or MD or whatever, and has a YAML tag as a first tag, is generated as HTML. So I was stuck with this because I was looking at it and I thought, oh shit, now I have to make a website, a structure, pages, navigation, everything. So at that moment I went looking for a template, and that was kind of hard because Jekyll is used by a lot of bloggers, so there's a lot of blogging templates. And I didn't want to use a blogging template, so I want to use something that's more fit for we call that documentation. And I found something, fortunately. That's this one. This guy has done a lot of work on the documentation template, and he has a top navigation bar where you can have pull downs for different products of your project, and a sidebar with main categories and subcategories. A lot of stuff is based on Bootstrap, and again, this was really easy to install. Just download it and replace your Jekyll structure with this structure, and you're up and running. And you've got this website basically, and then you delete everything and start working on it. So, I'm going to show you that. And now I need to. This is probably. Can you read this in a little bit? Or? Nope. Someone know the magic key for Apple to enlarge your screen?
You should go to View and then enter Presentation mode.
Yeah, but then I can't see the structure anymore.
Ja,
That's kind of,
dat zeg je er dan weer niet bij.
yeah.
I think there's also a menu for buy a Windows PC.
And you have that. But whatever, I'll do it. Here the structure is slightly expanded based on the normal structure from Jekyll. We got CSS directory, pages directory, images, all the basic stuff for a website. So first I'm going to show you. This is, for example, the. And now I'm going to view. Yeah. So first of all, I installed a plugin in IntelliJ to be able to preview your work. That comes quite in handy, although I must say that when you're working with Markdown, you get used to it really quick. And just type Markdown easy. It's really easy to use, and it's also, the fact that this is a header, fine. It doesn't really matter. It's looking nicer in the preview, but you can work on it without a preview easily. So on top of this is the YAML code, and you can do a few things here. First of all, you need this on top of your page to be able to convert your page to HTML. If it's not there, Jekyll will just copy it to your website and leave it alone. So if you have a formatted HTML page that you want to include, that can be done. You just include it and don't put any YAML on top of it. So that's easy. It gives a title, it gives a permalink, and the permalink is basically you can use this as a reference anywhere as a navigation. You can link to index.html, you don't have to have the full path for it. Summary, and there's all kinds of other things like tags and categories that you can use that I didn't use yet. Then you have some Markdown text, and I included some things here that I will show you later on.
Command 1.
Command 1? Say, command?
Command 1 is for the project export thing.
Yo. That's nice. I still need to go out there. So next is running this, and I created some shell scripts that are probably not working on anything else in my machine, but just to make it easier, I have a local Jekyll website, and if I run this from IntelliJ, and it creates my full static website and starts up the Jekyll web server to show it. So that's it. And now I can go to my local host. My Jekyll website is here. I broke something here, I think. So you can see the structure that I just showed from the template. I've created the main documents here, like requirements and the stuff about the mobile application, backend and everything. It's really nice because you can, when you select something here, you can actually really start presenting another view of your documentation. So your sidebar is also updated. You can include a different sidebar for every product you have. You can call this differently, of course. Let me see. So yeah, you probably, I don't have to show that probably. You understand that Markdown is with Git. It's easily, I can make a feature branch and then easily merge it back. And when there's any conflicts, you can merge it because it's just plain text. I also added a little bit of an experiment here, creating a div. I hope that it does. I created a script that compares the last version of the file with the current version and then creates a div of that in a kind of markdown format that plays nicely with HTML. So you see here, this is the previous version, so I deleted this line. I'm still testing it with tables and kind of stuff because that's a bit harder. But that's, well, it's possible. I also created or copied a plugin that shows some Git information. You can do a lot with your Git command line. You can pull a lot of information and include it in here, just to make sure that people know in which branch of the documentation they are. And well, the last commit to this code is not really interesting, but maybe you can also add tags and version numbers and that kind of things. So that's all doable. I think, well, the styling options, yeah, it's sufficient here. We might, in the future, we might have to look at an actual nice Ximedes style, but well, we put it in here. There's a nice footer and some color coding. That's okay. The tables in, I'll show that. Let's see. So this is my page structure. I'm still struggling a bit with this. How you structure your website is always a problem. It's also a problem with how you structure your Word documentation. So right now it's divided in backend documentation, mobile, and requirements and kind of things. But you also see stuff like here. It's Ximedes. It's a directory that was basically sent by Ximedes to us. They sent us their specifications about an interface in Markdown format, so I just included it in here and done. Yes. Okay. Some tricks I put in here. Huh? Yeah.
How to.
Some tricks I put in here is the abbreviation stuff. I'll show you. This is a plugin that parses all the text on these words. How did I do it? A few. Yeah, that is. I've tried to turn this off, it never happened. So if this string is found in the documentation, then a tooltip is generated with this text. And if you include the just include the template for that at every page. Every page is parsed like that. So right now you got this. Well, that's also not readable. Every page where you use these abbreviations like this gets a tooltip, and then gets a small text with the explanation. It's kind of replacing a would you say a glossary. You don't need it because you just add the glossary to everything. Another thing I added was links. You see this one adds links. Normally in Markdown you need to if you do this apex, then you need to define the link behind this. This one parses just, if you put it between the brackets, then it parses checks in the, no, this one links adds a whole list of static links to your document, and when it's parsed to HTML, all these links are replaced by the actual link. So I maintain those links in one file, and that's up here somewhere.
And that also solves the HTML extension problem.
No, that I'm going to show. That's so here are all the links. So I can just, when something changes to an external source or whatever, I can just change it here, and it's changed for everyone. Just regenerate the website, and it's okay. I'll explain what Gijs asked. The really bad thing about this template is that it uses HTML extensions. So it counts on index.html, and the plugin for IntelliJ doesn't understand this because the plugin is for Markdown. So when I'm working on a index.markdown file and I want to link to it and it's called index.html, IntelliJ doesn't make the link. And if you would call it index.markdown and I'm going to refactor this one, then IntelliJ, the plugin, knows that there's index.markdown references in your documentation and changes the name. So you can refactor file names very easily, and you can move files very easily, and the plugin takes care of that. Because I'm using this documentation template, that doesn't work, and I'm really annoyed by it, because this basically means that you don't have, IntelliJ doesn't add anything to this for easy working with it. So I'm gonna find a fix for that, because that's not doable. Yes. Oh, the next thing that's also nice to show. I'm just going through all the things I promised to have in there. Search. This is a search implementation of Lunar.js. That's a kind of very basic Solar implementation in JavaScript. I can show you. If I find my mouse, it's quite nice. Okay, one thing, I included a search page that's called Search MD, but it's of course translated to Search HTML. What you have here is liquid templating. It's also nice to show immediately. So this Markdown file, when it's processed to an HTML file, all the liquid templating is fired and translated to first translated to a new page that's got all the effects of the liquid template, and then it turns it into an HTML page. And what you see here, this part, basically says that you, for all the pages in this website, you add this information. So we first have a URL, and then we have a kind of JSON formatted stuff like the title of the page, the author of the page, the category, and the content. This is all generated for every page, and then it comes into the Search HTML page. I can show you that. So this basically puts all the content of your website in JSON format in one page. There's only one page. And when we look at this search box, this gets that page. So if I put something in here, then it opens the search.html page and fires Lunar.js, and then it uses the JSON to determine which results to show. It's kind of it's a good search. You can also give value to certain search, so you can give a higher value to title, so that's better ranked. And there's a little bit overhead in there because it basically includes all your. Where is it? Yeah, it includes the full content of your of your site, but that's only on one page. So well, you saw it. It loads really fast. So it's all static. So it doesn't really matter. But it's a really good search in there. So that's nice. Cucumber. Yeah, I need to check where it is. Cucumber. Where did I add cucumber? Nope. You see that I know my documentation by heart.
The more search.
And then my search came in very handy. So what's also included is Rouge. That's kind of a pigment, so you can do code formatting. So you can do any type of code, any type of language, and you just type in this case, you just type in that it's Gherkin, and then it formats it nicely to a Gherkin format. This was done manual. I'm looking at generating the feature files from the project in a way that is immediately included, including that you have a link to the test report some way or the other. What I also added was, as part of the documentation generation, and I used Schema Spy for that. In my script to build a website, there's also a script that uses Schema Spy to generate a data model of the database. And by using the comments function in Postgres, you can add some description for each database table and also a description for each database field. So when you put some field in there, you can already explain why the field is in there and what are the limitations, or maybe reference to some part of the documentation or whatever. At least this is kind of almost self-documenting the database logic. And well, if you put it in the build server, then we can make the build, we can build the database, we can generate the script, or run this script, and then we have the full database documentation in the project documentation. Easily done. Yeah, there's also stuff that generates PDFs to make sure that we have everything covered. This is also in there, and I'm saying this. I didn't do anything for this. It's included in the documentation template. It's really good. There's a really expensive engine behind it, and I'm using the free version right now, and I don't know what I can do with it or what, but it's only locally. And and it's gone. Okay. Let me check. Let me check what's wrong. It was just the one there was no documentation on it. this is it. As I said, I didn't do anything with the templating and structure. It looks pretty nice. It uses the fonts that I included, so that's the only thing I changed. Well, it uses the headers, and it links. It links to other PDFs. But it also links internally. One of the things that I would get out, I showed you the tooltips, but it also includes all those tooltips. So every time a word is found that includes a tooltip, the whole tooltip is included. There's between brackets, so that does it really well. But it also does the code formatting pretty well. Tables are done quite well. You can see a table. It's okay, it's not the most beautiful thing, but it's also not very ugly. So I think, yeah, out of the box this is working also pretty well.
It's really expensive. How expensive is this?
3,000 euros for a server license. Well, I don't know how expensive that is, because if you can use it for everything, then it's not that expensive. If you can use it only for one project, then it's quite expensive, but yeah. Something is broken.
Yeah.
So that's the end of the demo.
Just doesn't want to go.
I don't know what happened. Should still be running. Okay, something went wrong. I'll check my notes. I just wanted to show you. Yeah, so things I didn't do yet is the commenting and approval process of documentation. It's not included in here. I'm looking at that, but that's quite hard, especially for a static website. I'm working on the, still on a build in CI. It's now working on my local machine. I'll show you a list of what I'm working on. So basically this is done and it's good and it works for this project, but it's kind of messy. I just added stuff into it and just to make sure that everything works, and I gained a lot of experience, so now it's time to get a version 1 out there. So I want to work on a kind of a Ximedes template that's clean and has the right structure and is really usable. Also in IntelliJ with the Markdown extension. Put all of that in a Docker because you don't want that Ruby mess on your machine. Hey, Jos?
Hey.
Get some additional Git information, and I want to, because you publish different versions of your website, like the production version, the development version, the next sprint version or whatever. Get some kind of navigation in there for that. That you click on branches or something. Create a script that creates a diff for all the pages, so you can have every page you can see the previous version, or maybe even further back. The automatic creation of feature files, a build process, and the search is good, but I think there are better options. You can configure Lunar better to do like fuzzy search and that kind of thing, so typos and everything. So it would be nice to get that in there. And that's about it.
Why do you need reviews and comments?
Yeah, because the customer doesn't use Git. It's easy for us to work in Git, so I think we solve a lot of problems with working on the same documents and reviewing and pull requests. We solve that. but as long as you need to get it out to the customer and have it approved, and they have comments, so you need some way to do that.
You also want to solve the problem you had with the Delta SRS you called before.
Yeah.
Because normally a customer wants to have a specification on his new project.
Yeah.
He wants to prove that, and that's the reason why you built a Delta SRS.
Yeah.
But how is it solved in this case?
Well, you can. It's not actually solved. It's easier manageable. You can still.
How so? Because of using Git or something?
Yeah, you use Git. You just create a feature branch for your Delta SRS, and work out what you're going to change. But then you still have to point to the changes, of course. But you can do that with the diff.
But then you want to use the original document and point out these are the changes.
Yeah, in the ideal world, we would generate kind of an index with because you need to have. Let's say you have 100 pages, you only change 10. You want to have an index which pages are changed, and you can click on those pages, and then you can see that diff version of those pages. So you can see what's the difference with the original.
Yeah, but then you only see the diff. You do not describe what the new functionality is. And
Yeah, sure. You can also describe what the new functionality is.
With new functionality, you just have a new page.
The point is that you don't create a Delta SRS anymore because that's work. You need to change that Delta SRS into documentation, and that's exactly
but
what
you're
we're
just
trying to
swapping
do.
the Delta SRS.
Yeah. Yes. We're not doing
It's
that.
like the same when you have Word on with how do you call it?
Yeah.
Track changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Yeah. But you are completely removing the Delta SRS.
Yeah, you're basically generating a Delta.
Yeah, but it's the
full
same
Delta
solution
document.
you could use with Word.
Yeah, yeah.
Just remove it.
Yeah, but
that's it.
the problem is Word doesn't merge because you'll have two user stories, and one of them has changes in one part and one of them has changes in another part, and you can't merge those two. So that's why we use manual merging.
Mhm.
And if you have text documents, you can ask Git or whatever system to merge those things, and then you actually, I see this working.
And a lot of times you don't even get a merge conflict because you're working on different subjects.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
most of the times I don't need to merge anything. It's just done.
This documentation is meant for customer more, or is it more for internal
Well,
users?
the fact that you want to have it in a nice website and nicely looking and PDF versions is for the customer, but I think it's documenting is a bitch, so we want to make that easy. And I think working in just text documents, it also prevents long stories because you're working on a text document. You probably be more you write down a summary and just the actual points. I think my personal experience when you write in Word, you kind of stimulated to write long stories like prosa and make a whole book of it because it seems to be necessary, and this feels more technical, so you're probably more concise.
Was it easier than creating a Word document? Because if
Now,
I look at this, I think, whoa, this is way more
My
complex.
first step,
Yeah.
this took
Yeah.
much more time than a Word document.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But all that stuff you can, like 90% of the stuff you can do once and just check out this project and start working on a new document. That's my goal for the next step, is that you can pull this and install it on your local machine, the structure, and get that Docker, and it works. So
To me,
less problems than Word.
To me, one of the big advantages of this is that your text is now actually part of the project. So when you
Yeah.
tag the project, that documentation belongs to that version of the software, and that's what we're missing with the Word documents.
Yeah.
It always goes wrong.
Yeah, we can make it part of the build.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Some customers needs documentation in German, for instance. Can the system also handles multi-language on the website, or can you in some way add multiple languages in the content?
There's no actual multi-language support, but I think it's what's multi-language?
So
it's very easy.
Instead of making two different projects in two different languages, you make one.
I think
still
you
have one project and make within the project more languages.
But aren't you referring to user documentation now?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, but you can use this for that too. Why not? But I think it's easy because you have for every page you just add a US or a DE or whatever extension to it.
Yeah.
And then we probably can write some template or plugin that uses that, and when you press the language bar, then it switches to that.
Okay.
So it adds the extension to it.
Okay.
I think it can be done. Yes.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, it can. With a little bit of hacking and. Any other questions?
I think the main, the first big project is making a documentation how to use this.
Yeah, that should be this list. This is my list for making something that indeed you can read the manual of and you start using it. But that's also, I think, one of the important things is putting it in a Docker that's easily run, because really you don't. Sometimes there's a big mess of version numbers of gems and whatever, and so I'm gonna reinstall my whole laptop with nothing on it and then reproduce it, and that's the manual.
Is there any way to not deliver PDFs to customers but have them use the site and then, well, maybe not using IntelliJ but some other way to comment or do
that's that's this part.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think maybe
But then you have to type MD documents. To hell with it, right?
Yeah, or
Well, maybe there's a site that can generate comments on it, so you can discuss it like a forum.
yeah, or like a blog post or with comments or something like that. Because I think customers might be open to other ways to
I think
provide review comments.
Yeah, I think there's two differences. You want to edit the text, and I think that's more important in the team, and you want to add comments.
Yeah.
And my very, very basic solution right now is this, and this is not the solution to go, because this is more like comments on a post, a blog post, where you can discuss the blog post, and it's also external and whatever. But eventually you would like to have some tooling that, like, if you select this, you can add a comment and that's saved somewhere and we know it, and we can also review it and process it and set it to resolved or something. Yeah, that's I don't know if that's possible, because it's a static site, so we probably need suddenly some non-static stuff in there. But who knows JavaScript?
I mean, yeah.
So
cross origin, true.
Save to file, whatever. I don't know. So that's but that if that's in there, I think it's really nice.
What other formats can be produced? Word?
No, yeah, if you have something that produces Word, Pandoc can produce Word from Markdown files, I think. And you can also choose to do it differently, because you can also add different converters. So right now there's a Cramdown converter, I think. That's the Markdown version GitHub uses. But you can also add another converter or write your own converter. So we can also write in HTML and convert to Markdown if you want. We make Markdown websites. It's kind of complicated.
If you can make Word out of it, then you can send it to the customer.
Yeah.
To correct it.
Well,
Yeah,
I think I don't want to go there.
Cut and paste this URL, you can also send it to a customer.
Yeah.
No.
Well, when the site is generated and you want to send it to a customer, what's the way to go? You
This
package the whole in a zip or something?
No, this is the way to go. Publish it, and then ask Jos friendly to install other gem shit. And then he gives you very limited rights, and then you discover that you need more rights, and then it's all.
But then it's public to everybody.
But that's also no. There's in the firewall there's a username password on it. So, but that's a generic username password for it. So
Test.
yeah, that's it. No, it's very secure and changes every hour.
Wil je dat graag doen?
No, but I think what we did, we approached the live server wrong. Because I asked Jos to set up Ruby and everything on it, so I can generate sites on the server. But I don't have to generate sites on the server. I can generate sites locally and just pass the HTML to the server. So you just basically need rights to a HTML root directory of the web server. And then I'll do this with rsync right now. Just sync my generated site to the web server. And that's, I included that in a script again. And I can publish the current branch to the document server, and it also publishes in a branch that uses the Git branch name to publish in the directory structure.
Nice.
So you have 3 versions running there. No, almost.
Can you go back to a previous version from just a website?
No. It's static, so
Yeah,
you
okay.
have to generate it in advance. Everything you want to see, you have to generate it. Yeah.